What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the 2 Plus podcast. I'm Paddy, and today I'm going to be running through a video that a lot of people have been asking for, and I have been thinking about for a long time. I play Wood Elves, or I definitely did a lot at the start of the Old World. It was my entry army into the Old World, and I had a lot of fun with them. I think they're a great army. They look fantastic. They have a unique playstyle, or they should have a unique playstyle. And it's a different way of playing the game. But they're on the nose for a lot of people. But the people who play them tend to love them about as much as you can love a a Warhammer army. So today I'm going to run through some ideas that I have that could fix Wood Elves. It's well known that Wood Elves are in the dumpsters of the old world. They have been nerfed into the ground, as I'll run through in a second, frequently, and they don't really have a lot going for them. They used to be pretty good competitively, but probably only because of a rules misinterpretation or something that slipped through the rules writing process, which people abused. But then there were multiple nerfs that kind of set them down to near the bottom of competitive Warhammer. But they're even average in social Warhammer as well. So I think they're in a really dire spot. But there's some easy ways to fix them. So let's run through it. First of all, the state of Wood Elves. As I mentioned, they're about a middle to bottom faction competitively, and it's pretty difficult to win a game of Warhammer generally with them. They have been nerfed very, very hard since the first FAQ onwards. Every FAQ, there seems to be something that just knocks out something that Wood Elves can do. Some notable ones were nerfs to the Way Stalker, which meant that that enemy units still got Lookout Sir bonuses from their Hawk-Eyed Archer. Of course, the Sisters of the Thorn can no longer pick their spells despite Pillar of Fire being nerfed. Poison, massive one, which really took the sting out of the Wood Elf punch. So they started as a pretty strong faction, but they have since regressed significantly over the past 12 months to 18 months. They have a very, very limited playstyle. There's essentially two ways to run Wood Elves, and that is with the Wild Hunt Army of Infamy, which means you run straight at your enemy. Either you win or they win, and it's over in about an hour and a half. While that's fun, it doesn't have a lot of sustainability, and you can do it a couple times and it's interesting, but then it gets pretty old because toughness 3, no armor, just doesn't really hold up for a very long time, as most people know. The interesting part, that point down the bottom, is negative aura. No one really likes to play against competitive Wood Elves, and that is because they are an evasive army and they tend to run away rather than engage. But they're not really doing a whole lot of damage at the same time. So it's a lot of running. There's not a lot of interaction. Alex and I were discussing this the other day, and what did he say? What's worse, playing against Wood Elves or playing with Wood Elves? Because it works the same way. I frequent the Discords. I talk to Alex a lot about Wood Elves, and Wood Elf players are in a pretty sad state at the moment. But as I said, the love runs deep, so there's hope that they will get lifted back up. But right now, they have a very negative aura about them. Everyone kind of feels sorry for them. I will say Squarebase put them in the very bottom tier. I don't believe that they are in the bottom tier, but I do think they struggled to have significant wins against anyone. But I think it's relatively reasonable to think that you can beat strong lists and get draws with strong lists, but it takes a whole lot of effort to get there. One point that's not there is that there is a very high skill floor, I suppose you'd call it, to play Wood Elves. You learn your lessons very quickly with Wood Elves because when you make mistakes, you get punished massively for them. I did when I started playing, and that's what makes people get very cagey, because when you step wrong, you just get blown up. So first of all, let's go through what works. Dragons. They're an elf. They have dragons. This dragon is good too. It's as good as most dragons, but it also has a little niche where it has evasive, because the Lord has evasive, which means when it's targeted in shooting, it can fall back in good order and gets a free reform on your opponent's turn, which sets you up for the charge that you like, or can just allow you to move after they have moved, which is really strong. And of course, it's toughness 6, 9 wounds. The guy on top is not very good. There's ways, like he does have some challenge mechanics and some special abilities that make him okay, but he's not a Chaos Lord. But he's good enough. As we know, it's more so about the dragon and the items that are on the guy on top anyway. Stag Lords are also good. You can kit them out pretty well. They come in maxed out at about 350 points or so. They hit relatively hard. They're cool models. They fit the Army of Infamy really well. but they are skirmishing guys that can strike where you want them and work as a good substitute for dragons if you don't always want to bring a dragon. They're the characters that do a lot of the carrying for the army. The units that are good are Wild Riders and Glade Riders, I believe, and probably Deepwood Scouts I'd lump in there. You could probably make a semi-competitive army just out of a dragon, a stag lord, a caster, Wild Riders, Glade Riders, and Scouts. But the problem is that's about where it stops. Wild Riders hit like a truck but die like I don't know what, but something extremely weak. Glade Riders are very hard to catch, but they don't do a lot of damage. But they're good in the objective game for capturing objectives. Reserve move and movement 9 is really, really strong. But the tactic that works really well generally is evasive, the special rule that is very common in Wood Elves and some other units that allow you to escape things like Fireball and the summoning and the like. It's a really strong ability, and I think it's something that should be more present in armies in Warhammer. It's unique. It feels unique to the Wood Elves. It's not, but it feels like a thing that Wood Elves would do, and I'll get into that in a second, where I think that's needed a lot more across the game, but definitely in Wood Elves. People hate it when you use evasive, though, which I don't really understand. But hey, there you go. Law of the Wilds is a very strong law. They brought that out in the new army of the new Arcane Journal. It would be one of the best laws in the game. It has a really strong magic missile. It has a regeneration spell. It has a pretty good template. It has some other good spells in there. So that is strong, but in the Grand Army, you have to pay for it to get it. In the Host of Towson, which is arguably one of the worst armies of infamy, you get it for free, but no one's playing that one. As I mentioned, one of the best strategies for them is still the keep away strategy, where you just run away and hopefully you deal 250 points to your opponent and they do 0 and you win 11-9. That tends to be the best way to get a win with Wood Elves, with no player really likes. The opponent or the Wood Elf player doesn't want that kind of game because in its current state, it's very boring. So let's go into the issues. As we know, in the old world and in Warhammer in general, elves are expensive. They die very easily, and you pay a lot for them because you're meant to be paying for the premium, the elite special abilities that make you a step above everyone else, which is just simply not the case. Elves, this is more of an elf issue than it is a Wood Elf issue, although it's definitely a Wood Elf issue. But that is the main thing that's really holding them back. Elves don't really exist in the old world. They are essentially half a step above a man, and they're about 3 times the cost. So really, really expensive, and you don't get a lot for it. Toughness 3. The thing with Wood Elves is it's toughness 3, no armor. So like the weakest things in the game are killing you on 4s and 4s with no armor save. Fireball wrecks you. I have been wrecked by Fireball so many times. I don't think Wood Elves should have armor in droves, but because they don't have armor, they should have other abilities that help them survive, like evasive. They also have no punch. They struggle to get strength 6. I think it's only the dragon and the Glade Lord. So a Glade Lord is the only thing that can get strength 6. A Glade Captain, yep. Tree men are not. So no strength 6 apart from your Glade Lord, and very, very hard to get armor piercing, or at least reliable armor piercing. So dealing damage is just so difficult. It's almost as hard as staying alive. The other issue is it's a very limited roster. As I mentioned, there's about 5 good units in the book, and there's about 10 very mediocre ones, and there's probably 3 to 4 unplayable ones. That means that after about 10 games of Warhammer, you've exhausted the good stuff, and the list building process really slows down. So there's not a lot of options. So here are the things that I would target to fix Wood Elves. Straight off the bat, Wood Elves feels like half an army because the tree spirits are not very good. I like what they have tried to do by making the tree spirits the anvils of the army, and then the elves somehow were meant to kill things, which they cannot do. But tree spirits, I like that they're high toughness. I like that they get in the way and they have stubborn and they have regeneration. I don't think they necessarily need to punch everything into the ground. I think having them be the anvils is a good strategy. But Dryads and Treekin both don't have armor piercing, so they are doing no damage. Treekin, I think, are probably the best tree spirit. They're relatively affordable. They have Tree Whack, which is really fun. They're toughness 5, armor bane 2, and they have a regen. They're a 5-up, 5-up save. But Dryads, Tree Men, and Tree Men Ancient are in a very terrible spot. Dryads are playable because they have stubborn, but really you're just using them as a little screen to stubborn away. They're just kind of blockers. They have 2 attacks, weapon skill 4, strength 3, no AP. So they just often do nothing to like dogs. They don't do anything. And they're also really expensive. Dryads, for what you're getting, so expensive. So points reduction, I know that's kind of wish listing, and I don't think it's going to happen in the old world, at least this edition. But if they're going to not have the punch or the toughness that they're meant to have, then they need to be cheaper. So I would be looking at Dryads being about 8 to 9 points. I don't see them to be much better than a state troop, to be honest. They don't get close order, so there's no rank bonus. They can get open order, so something they get 1 rank bonus, I think so, but they don't get the close order bonus. They get no parry. They have a 6+6+ save. So Dryads, really, like using them as screen is just kind of lame. Now, Tree Men are the one unit in the Tree Spirit section of the book, which I actually think should have a strength boost. Strength 5 doesn't cut it for a 215 point behemoth with D3 stomps, so you can get 1 stomp out of that. Yes, he is a behemoth, and yes, his 5 attacks, which is good at weapon skill 6, I think, means that he's often hitting on 3s, often wounding on 3s or 4s, but against a behemoth, it's 5s, but it does have AP2. So when they go through, they count. The problem is the strength 5 really brings them down. As I said, if he's going to be an anvil, that's great. He has a 4-up normal save and then a 5-up save, regen save, but has flammable, which means it can be turned off. I think a tree man should have a 3-up save. I think it's thematic. It's made out of wood. You make it magical iron bark wood and make it as strong as stronger than full plate mail. It's a magical tree that's come to life that's hundreds or thousands of years old. I think it's sellable, and I think it would go a long way in making this thing a lot more durable. 5 wounds, toughness 6 is good, but its save lets it down when its regen can just be turned off. The D3 stomps means that it has very unreliable damage. Its stand and shoot, its shooting ability, Strangle Roots, is god-awful because it's ballistic skill 4, I believe. So it's inherently with multiple shots hitting on 4s at best, most likely 5s. So I've rarely seen that do anything either. So the Tree Man is the one I'd love to just see make him strength 6 or make him 3+ armor save. That way he has a role. He can be a damage dealer. You're paying 250 points for this thing. It's expensive and it's not doing anything. So this Tree Spirits, all in all, the units in the game, I think need a lot of work. Maybe not the Tree Kin. I think there is definitely play there. The Tree Man Ancient and the Branch Wraith, which I haven't written down here, also need a huge amount of work. The Tree Man Ancient has nothing unique about him. He's meant to be this hybrid caster tough guy thing, but he can be an expensive level 4. He's toughness 6, of course. But because you can't take Lore Familiar, you can't pick your spells, which means you're usually left with some average spells. He's also got 3 attacks. 3 attacks is Empire General level attacks from a Tree Man Ancient, which you're paying 265, I think it is, for a level 4. I could be wrong. But there's just no real role for this guy. He's a durable level 4, sure, but he's a large target. He's not very mobile. So he often just gets blown up by cannons. He, again, has a 4-up, 5-up save, flammable, turning off the regen. But he has nothing unique about him. He can take the forest spites, but they're all pretty average. He already has Terror, which is great, but he's like the -1 weapon skill initiative you generally want on one of your fighty Glade Lords, and the other ones, like a Muster of Malevolence or whatever it is they're just really terrible. So there's nothing to really do with the Tree Man Ancient. He's usually just a liability. He's a level 4 caster that can get no bonuses to casting or dispel, and so he's generally a weaker wizard, and he can't fight very well. So he's just a tough guy that casts mediocrely, which is just average. The Branch Wraith needs something drastic because 2 wounds, 2 attacks, I think it is. He's got weapon skill 6, I think, as well, which is just incredible. A great weapon, which makes her tough. A Branch Wraith, I think, is a female tree. But there's really no reason to take one. Again, it's just this lack of identity. They don't actually bring anything unique. Give the trees something that makes them fun. They don't have to go win a game, but they just want to feel like trees. And that's just like their thing at the moment, is to have 1+1 toughness over their strength, which is just so average. So they're the trees. Let me know what you guys think. I think undoubtedly they're one of the worst most poorly written rule set in the game is the Tree Spirits, and it's essentially half the identity of the Wood Elves. Is it because they're in Age of Sigmar? Skepticism says yes. But let's move on to the other thing that is the other half of the book, essentially, or at least the identity. There's other things in the book, of course, but shooting damage, particularly the thing you see on screen right now, which are Way Watchers. Everybody knows, who knows anything about Wood Elves, knows the Waystalker tax, as it's so called, is a huge hindrance to this army and this unit. What the Waystalker tax is you cannot take a unit of rare Way Watchers without paying for a Waystalker. I think a Waystalker comes in about 85 points. You tend to want to give it the bow, which I've now forgotten, the 10-point bow, Ascendi's Bane, which makes it 95. Essentially, you're paying $100 to unlock 100 points to unlock this unit, which I think is actually really good. And it's so thematic. They are the Wood Elves. These guys, to me, are the Wood Elves. They are the ambushing, scouting, guerrilla warfare bowmen who are incredibly accurate and skirt around the board and should have special abilities. They've got evasive, they've got scout, they've got feigned flight, they've got fire and flee. So all these things are great. They have all the magic arrows that all the archers do in the book. I think they do have a really good role of just supreme chaff clearers. With their high ballistic skill, you can give them swift shiver shards or arcane bodkins, and you can just delete weak units and then run away. That's really cool. And I think that's something that Wood Elf players love to do, but not when you're paying essentially 250 points for them, because you have to bring a Waystalker who has one shot unless you give him Swift Shiver shards. He has great ballistic skill, great. After modifiers, it tends to be 4+, 5+ to hit. And he's strength 4. So it's not doing anything. The Waystalker was the one I mentioned that was nerfed, so its hawk-eyed archer ability, again, would be really cool if it was just a Wood Elf thing where one archer in the rulebook can target a character. Make the characters bloody hide, make it affect the game, but they nerfed it so it still gets Lookout Sir, which essentially just makes it a waste of time. Something that was in previous editions, which I think would be amazing for Way Watchers, and including the Waystalker tax, would mean that they would be brought now, which is what I'm trying to achieve in this video, is Killing Blow on Way Watchers. It was a thing, I think, someone will correct me, 4th, 5th, 6th edition, I can't remember which one, but it makes sense. You imagine these guys are extremely accurate, one bow to the throat, to the eye. This unit could do it. Deepwood Scouts, no. But this one, which you're paying more for a toughness 3, no armor elf, behind a 100-point tax of the Waystalker, give them something that kills things, because this book is severely lacking things that can kill units. You're going to get 6 to 7 of these guys. You still have to hit a 6 for Killing Blow. You'll all say it's crazy, I presume, because everyone has a bit of a gross spot for for Wood Elves, but this would make this unit playable in my eyes. Remove the Waystalker tax or give them Killing Blow and keep the Waystalker tax. A army-wide rule, which I believe, again, was in a previous edition. If the Wood Elves are shooting at close range, they get +1 strength. They're all strength 3. So usually they are wounding high priority targets on 5+ at best. Give them +1 strength. It just makes them strength 4. It means you'll wound weak things on 3s. Having to hit on 4s, wound on 4s, and have no armor piercing attached to it is just god-awful. It cannot be how you play shooting with bows in this game. Another nice little trick, I think, would be that Wood Elves get better volley fire. Probably Elves in general. I feel like High Elves should be able to do this too. No one is paying 14 points for a model that can't shoot. So if you have 14 Glade Guard in 2 units of 7, you get the 7 front rank that shoots, then you get 4 more that shoot, and then you have 3 in the back row that do nothing, that cost 39 points. I think they come in at 13 points after magic arrows. Let Wood Elves shoot in 2 ranks. Let volley fire start on the 3rd rank. That would mean you would see way more cool-looking bricks of 20 Glade Guard on the table, which I think people would actually like. And this is before you give them the other bonuses. Just try this one and see what it does, because it's just a lot more weak shots. They're not doing a lot at the moment, but if you give them more, maybe they have something to play with. Another thing which was in previous editions as well, AP1 on the Azrai longbow. Currently, they have arcane bodkins, which you pay for to give them AP2, which is great, a really good ability. Coupled with the longbow, which gives them armor bane 1, you can punch through things if you're hitting enough. But if every Wood Elf bow had AP 1, would we really be burning the game down? I really don't think so. If they're strength 3, AP 1, make them AP 3 with arcane bodkins, you've still got a hit, which is extremely hard. So I'd like to see that too. Back to the Way Stalkers and Way Watchers. The Way Watchers in previous editions used to have traps, which were really fun abilities. And again, goes to this identity issue that Wood Elves have, where they could essentially lay booby traps around in forests. You roll a d6 and there was like a trap table, which allows you to like slow down a unit. It's like a net that catches them, or there's an impale one, which deals some damage. There's lots of different things to it. You can Google it. It is great and it's flavorful. And if it means more Way Stalkers and Way Watchers are in the game, then I think it's great. So that's how I think shooting could play a big part, which it absolutely bloody should for Wood Elves. The other thing, which for some reason I didn't write down here, which was, as I mentioned, one of the nerfs in previous FAQs, bring back poison. It makes sense. The old rules worked fine. Wood Elves weren't winning every tournament. Lizard Men weren't winning every tournament because of poison. It was Tomb Kings and it was Night Goblins who were abusing a magical standard that was giving them poison in huge amounts of shooting. That was the problem. Yes, some people don't love that playstyle of running around shooting poison at big monsters, but everything's got saves. So I'm not saying they should get all of these things. These are all options to give them. But if we returned poison as it was, then Wood Elves would have play again. So these are the things I think would help bring the shooting back into the game. I don't think they're overpowered, and I don't think they should have all of these things. These are options that I think could change the game for Wood Elves. Let's say the book's broken into thirds: trees, shooting, combat. I've been saying halves up until now, but there's obviously units in the game in the book that have a role in Wood Elves, or should have a role, which absolutely do not. Eternal Guard might be one of the worst units in the game. Shoot me down, Wood Elf fans, but if you're playing them and winning games, good on you. I don't know how you do it. They are so expensive for Strength 3, AP 1 attacks, Toughness 3, 5-up save. They are just ridiculously overcosted, and overcosted is a word. What I would like to see change for combat units in the Wood Elf roster, Elven Reflexes to me is crap. +1 initiative gets you nowhere most of the time. You have to stack it with Befuddlement of Mischiefs for it actually to take effect. You are sometimes hitting at the same time as men that charge you, but anything that's above a man in the old world stat center just annihilates you first. Because max you can get to with Eternal Guard with their spears is initiative 6 when charged. And when you're hitting at the same time, you're still hitting with Weapon Skill 5, which is good. Strength 3, AP 1 attacks. So you're not really doing much anyway. I'd like to see all combat elves get always strikes first. Give it to the Glade Guard, sure. Who cares? They have Weapon Skill 4, Strength 3, no AP attacks. I don't think it would break the game. I think Wood Elves and elves in general, this should go to High Elves and to Dark Elves as well, just lack this elitism, which they should have. They should be hitting first and they should die easily. I think they should hit, and if they miss, they die, essentially. If you're not going to give them always strikes first, I think they need higher weapon skill. The weapon skill chart changed in the old world, which means threes, to hit on threes is a lot more common. It's good. Weapon skill 5, for example, which is on the units that are photoed there. Weapon skill 5 is good as a defensive piece. It usually means that units in the game are hitting you on 4s. But when it gets into, if they spike that roll, the toughness 3 just isn't there to back you up. Also, you should be hitting things a lot easier. As an elf, you should be some of the best hand-wielding weapon users in the game, and they're currently not. So if they're not getting always strikes first, I think they need higher weapon skill for defensive and offensive ability. Specifically for Eternal Guards, I think Azrai Spears need parry, like the Wardens of Towson was given in the Towson Army of Infamy. I think if that translated to Eternal Guard and they had a 4-up save in combat while still attacking with their AP1 spears, then I think you would see them on the board. And I think their cost would be a little bit more justified. There is an incredible paradox with a magic item in the game. Forget what one is. It's the banner of the Eternal Queen, maybe. Gives you +1 combat res if you're within 6 inches of a wood. However, if Wood Elves are in a wood and they're close order, they are disrupted just like anyone else. So if you're taking that banner and sitting in a wood, then you are losing your rank bonuses, but you're getting +1 combat res. I believe wood elves who live in woods, I don't think they should get disrupted in woods. I think if they live in a bloody forest, they should be able to fight in a forest. The law for both of those units are like they live amid the forest and come out to defend it. Yet when they are defending it in the old world, they get disrupted. It doesn't make sense to me. The other fighting unit I think needs a little pump up is the war dancers. I think what they're lacking, like everything else in the book, is high strength and high AP. They can do a dance that gives them AP2, but then they're hitting with strength 3 attacks. And then you're not getting your 4+ ward save that you could do the other dance for. So you're really sacrificing one or the other, which is, I get it, it makes sense. But they also have Motley Crew. I think if you gave them great weapons as an option, then you'd make these guys full blenders that get cut up when they get hit still, but they actually have some punch. The alternative, I think, as an option would be to give them another dance, which is +1 strength. Then you can couple it with things like Plague of Rust, and then they're going in and punching a little bit harder. War Dancers have to be one of the most iconic units in the game, and I play them, and I think they're okay, but mainly because the Shadow Dancer, I think, is really good. But for toughness 3 guys, and I know this is a trope of this whole video, they're just way too expensive to be on there. So they could do with a little juice up as well, I think. Now, I was super excited when I heard about the beast packs being announced, until it was unearthed, the old photo, the one that you can see there, that these guys were just getting regenerated. The ones that are used are the dogs. Some people bring 1 dog, 1 handler, and they run them as a screener for their frenzied units. You almost never see boars, cats, or bears on the table, which is a huge missed opportunity. The dogs and the boars are essentially what boar boys ride, and Chaos Warhounds, that sort of thing. They are similar. The bear is, I think, strength 4, toughness 4, 2 wounds. This was an opportunity for them to give them a mid-tier monster that actually did some damage, and it would allow the Wood Elves to kind of have a flanking animal on their side. Them missing this opportunity is just baffling to me. The only way they are seen is in a minimum-sized unit of dogs. They have stuffed it up. There's no way to argue about that. It was an exciting release for me, and I will never play them because they just suck. So make bears stronger. I don't know what to do about cats. Like, they kind of seem fun. But one thing I damn well know is they all should have move through cover, which they don't. They're animals that live in the forest. Give them move through cover. That's where they live. That's what they do. Yet they're getting slowed down by difficult ground. A dog, a bloody cat, a bear is getting tripped up by a thicket. Give me a break. Anyway, the ones that are not photoed here are eagles. Eagles are a great screener for frenzied units again, and you can redirect them. You can charge bait things. I think they're actually okay. What really lets them down is the mounted version of them, and that's why I think it would actually be better if they were skirmish rather than close order. They're not getting the close order bonus, which it also makes them less maneuverable. But if our characters could ride eagles, then I think there'd be you'd see a lot more versatility in the roster. Currently, people bring eagles occasionally, and that maybe means that they're okay. They have a role, they're 60 points, which is a lot, but again, I'm not going to just bang on about points reduction because I don't think that's really going to happen. So I'd like to see them be skirmish, and then you'd see some cool, battle mages, a Glade Lord riding an eagle. Part of this video is about making them fun, not just competitive. The other flying animal that's in the book is the Warhawk. I would love to see you be able to take a standard bearer with the Warhawk riders. I think being able to give them a piece of combat res and a magical banner would make these guys way more playable. You make them a flanking force that can countercharge things after you've sucked your opponent into your area. I'd also wouldn't hate if the Warhawks themselves got Furious Charge in the Orion's Hunt, Army of Infamy. They're the things that are charging in. It makes sense to me. I know Pegasus Knights, for example, that's not the case there, but I don't know. I think it would be good. And I think Warhawks need a bit of a pump up as well. Finally, items and abilities. So this is kind of overarching things in the book, which I think need a touch up. Move through cover for Wood Elves only should ignore the low dice penalty, and move through cover should be given to Glade Riders. Move through cover, the -1 movement ignoring that penalty doesn't go far enough, particularly for an army that lives in a wood. I believe it would go a long way for things like Wild Riders to not miss charges like this, and Glade Riders to miss charges like this. Glade Riders is the only unit in the book, I believe, except for the beast packs, that don't have move through cover. The explanation of the unit says that they can run at breakneck pace through even the most dense of woods. So why the hell don't they have it? The other thing that would give Wood Elves just a bit more identity is more things that interact with woods. Being around or near forests would make sense to get a bonus from it. There are things in the game, but they kind of suck. I would love to see Wood Elf casters, for example, getting +1 to cast or +1 to spell, or 1 reroll per magic per turn if they are in or near a wood. I think not being disrupted in a wood for Eternal Guard. Things like that kind of just make Wood Elves make sense, essentially. This is more about flavor rather than power, in my eyes. It would go a long way in making them actually have an identity. Now, I want to go into some items. Bow of Lauren was FAQ'd, where Bow of Lauren, for those that don't know, allows you to use your attack profile for the amount of shots you can shoot. So normally a ranged weapon is 1 attack, unless it has multiple shots or something like that attached to it. Bow of Lauren on a Glade Lord gives you 4 shots. But if you take a magic bow, say Hagbane Tips, it only applies to 1 of those shots, which I don't know. You tell me. But that should be reversed. You should be able to take 4 Arcane Bodkin shots on a Glade Lord. I don't think it's going to burn the house down. So let's just test that out and see if it works. Hail of Doom Arrow. Hail of Doom Arrow is an iconic Wood Elf item. In this edition, it's a 35-point single-use item. It puts a 3-inch blast template over a unit. Units under that blast template risk being hit by Strength 4 AP 1-shots. Once per game. Once per game. And you have to roll to see if you hit them. So you shoot your bow with all the penalties, whatever it is, long range, which means at best you're at least hitting them on 3s. And then you see if they are hit, and then it's Strength 4 AP 1 for 35 points 1 time per game. You gotta I don't know what to do there, but that needs a full rework. It's a waste of identity. It's a waste of an item that's been around forever that people would bring and brings flavor. It doesn't have to, I'm not wanting it to be broken, I just want it to have a use. Vol's Wrath. This one was the biggest kick in the pants for all Wood Elf players. It is a 55-point magic item. It is Strength +1, AP 2, range 32 inches, shooting attack. It's flaming magic, multiple wounds 2, and once per game during the move. If it hasn't moved in the previous movement phase, Vol's Wrath can be shot like a bolt thrower using through and through. The catch here is 55 points means it can't be taken by a Waystalker, which means the shooting character in the book can't take the shooting item that they released by 5 points. If that is not targeted, you can, I do not believe you, essentially. Make it 50 points. Make people bring Waystalkers. That means they bring Waywatchers. That's good for the game. The last part is Woodland Ambush. It is the ability that allows Wood Elves to bring a wood to and put it on the table after the terrain has been set and after the roll to see what side you're on. So you do get to place it favorably for it. I would like it to be able to place anywhere you like, in the middle of the board, wherever. Currently it's a 12-inch diameter, if that's the right term, 12-inch circle around the middle where you can't place it. Just remove it. Let people place it in the middle. If you can put it further forward or in the middle, it means you can fight around it rather than hide around it, which is a good thing, I think. So there you go, guys. That is my wrap up of Wood Elves. A lot of people have asked for this. I would love to see some of these things change because I've semi-stopped playing Wood Elves. I have played them in 1.5, but I'm in a bit of an Orcs and Goblins era because there's so much wrong with Wood Elves that make them A, not very competitive, B, not very fun to play, and C, not very fun to play against. So if you take on board any of these changes, I think it will fix most of those things. But let me know how you go, guys. Love chatting Wood Elves. So if you're a Wood Elf player, please hit me up in the comments. If you're not, and you want to tell me this is copium like you did the last time, then by all means, get involved. Thank you to our paid supporters and Pandemwargaming. I don't have the slide in this, sorry, but if you'd like some movement trays, some adapters, some game aids, those sort of things, check out the link in our description. Jeff is a great guy. You can ship anywhere you like. and really quality products there. And thank you to our Patreon and YouTube members. If you like the content we're putting out and you want more and you'd like to help support the channel, please check out the links in the description of this video. But till next time, I'm Paddy. This is 2 Plus. I will see you the next time. Thanks.